Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Cade and I am here with Haley. Thank you, Haley, for being here
Of
with me
course.
again. How are you today?
I am doing well. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm excited to talk about sleep. Sleep
Yes,
is
me too.
sleep is like gold in our house. How is it with you?
It's so important. I know you and I have talked about this multiple times, but you can totally feel it in your body when you haven't had enough sleep, and it manifests in many ways.
Yeah, and in my brain too. Yeah, for sure. I feel like today I was a little sluggish. I was actually flirting with the idea of calling you and saying, I don't want to film today because I'm too tired. I need more sleep. But it was a very timely subject for us to go through today. So we're going to push
For
through it
sure.
and we're going to talk about all things sleep. So let's jump into it. What are, Haley, the two most common categories of people having trouble sleeping?
Yeah, so body noise and mind noise are the two categories. So body noise would be things where you can't calm down your body, you're feeling fidgety. And then mind noise would be more things where you're in your head, obviously. So you're really anxious, you're stressed, you have these feelings of fear or doubt. Those things are going to be the top two.
Yeah. So whenever somebody comes and talks about having difficulty sleeping, I think it's so important to identify which one of those, because as you're going to learn from this video today, two completely different paths on how we can try to crack that. But, Haley, let's just go through a couple different things why sleep is so important. Sleep is really when our brain and our neurologic systems recharge, right? And so I always like to use the example of when we breathe air in, we breathe oxygen in, our body will take that oxygen and circulate through its tissues, but there's waste products that needs to come out. Our brain does the same thing. Through the cerebrospinal fluid in our spinal cord, it will bring nutrition up to the brain, and our brain breathes that in, it uses it, and then there's exhaust, and that also comes back down through the cerebrospinal fluid in the spinal cord. And so that really happens when we sleep. And we'll also, I think, talk a little bit about some organs being a little bit more active at certain times during the night, but many of us really think that everything shuts down, but it doesn't. There's systems that are more active when we're sleeping. So let's talk, should we talk about body noise first? I think that's probably a good spot to start. And I know that
Yeah.
we've referenced some stuff with pain in some of our past videos. A lot of people have trouble, getting comfortable, whether it's
hmm
just tossing and turning and things that just don't quite feel right, finding the right sleeping position. Some people will struggle with pain. Other people will deal with like gastric issues, whether it's reflux,
hmm
whether it's maybe their tummy feeling maybe a little bit nervous about the next day, which brings us to mind noise a little bit too. But let's talk about body first. And maybe we should talk about some things that you can do in your bedtime routine that will help your body feel more restful. What do you think?
Yes. Sounds good.
Go ahead. I'll let you take
Okay,
it.
awesome. Yeah, so sleep routine is super important in both mind and body noise. So if we're talking about body noise right now, one of the top things that I always recommend for people to do is to get some light stretching in before bed, maybe even a short 10 or 15-minute yoga video, which we can link to some of our favorites below. And also, the feet up the wall pose, super simple. Basically, you just lay on the ground, stick your feet up, and it just is able to really calm all the systems in your body. You can look that up on Google. It'll show you exactly how to do it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. But those are some of the main things in routine that I like to do to calm
Awesome.
body noise.
Awesome. And so it's nothing really intense, right, Haley? We're just doing some things to get the blood flowing to create a consistency, a routine at night so that our
hmm
body and our mind starts to understand that, hey, we're signaling to you that it's time to rest, it's time to go to bed. During that time, you can multitask and you can play some real calming, relaxing music on. You
hmm
can meditate, you can pray, you can use vibration and different things like that. Nothing too intense, just things that are calming. How about things that we shouldn't do before we get to bed?
There's quite a few of these. So I would definitely say one of the biggest things that people do right now in our society is being on their phone, being on their computer or their iPad or their TV, and really overstimulating yourself. That is probably the top issue that I see with sleep issues.
So maybe we can go into that a little bit more. Screen time, that synthetic light is really going to stimulate us in a number of different ways, right?
hmm
Mentally and physiologically, right? So that blue light will actually look to our eyes and our brain just like sunlight, right? And will actually stunt melatonin production in the brain, which is not good. So melatonin is so important. It's made by our body and our brain to help us fall asleep, right? And it's famous that we can take it. I even have some here that I'll talk about. But again, those digital devices, especially the blue light that emits from that, inhibits melatonin production. So we've got glasses that we can wear. There's orange glasses. There's different filters that you can put on your screens, both with software and actual hardware, like sleeves that you can put over your screens. And then, just of course, staying away from those things as much as you possibly can. I know that for some of you that you can't, and maybe it's already so bad that your circadian rhythm is messed up, or that you're not on the right timeline that you'd like to be on. I know for me, I prefer staying up late and sleeping in late. And so with 4 kids at home, that doesn't work out very good. And so things that you can do to retrain that is getting up as early as you can and watching the sun come up, so that that natural sunlight will start to, again, reset your circadian rhythms. And then doing it on the opposite end of the day too, where you're watching that sun go down. So those are important things. So what else can we do? How about journaling? How about, what do you think about that, Haley?
Yeah, for sure. So journaling is a really great way to really calm yourself down. I like to personally write gratitude. So things that I was grateful for during the day. They can be little things, like it was sunny today, or they can be a little bit, larger of things. But just kind of being able to calm yourself down, and it can be in any way that you want. I think that's really great. You can also write a to-do list for the next day if that helps you. For me, I like to actually set times for my to-do list. Otherwise, it just becomes overwhelming. So I might say, between 7 and 8, I'm waking up, I'm having my coffee, I'm, getting ready for my exercise, but literally writing out what I'm doing so I'm not overwhelmed going into the next day. Along that same line, you can read before bed. I know that helps me sometimes. And again, we talked about meditation and prayer. So those are also really great ways that you can calm.
So, when we start talking about journaling, I think that is kind of branching us into the next one, talking about mind. But it will have a physical calming aspect to it too, about writing these things down, writing your worries down for the next day down, so that you can just jump right into it the next day. But also, like you said, gratitude for today. What are things that I did good? What are things that I could have improved upon, right? And so one of the members on our medical advisory board, Dr. Taylor Crick, has got an awesome little journal that's in a couple of our downloadable things. We'll make sure that we try to link that here on this video. But it's just a one sheet, quick piece of paper you can run through real quick, and you can see what worked and what didn't work. And because we're all trying to be better, of course. Other things that we can do before bed. I love topical magnesium. I think topical magnesium is fantastic. It works great to help calm muscles down. And there is a little bit of neurological response too with these topical versions. And I love this brand, Ancient Minerals. I think they even have one with either lavender or melatonin in it. And dang cool. Other things, I think, Haley, did we mention mattresses and temperature?
We haven't yet.
All right, let's talk about that. Some of our favorite brands are, there's 8 Sleep, and then there's also Chili Pad. And both of these are either a mattress or a mattress topper that can actually cool and heat up the mattress. And so I think one of them actually also uses technology to monitor your body temperature while you're sleeping. So, some of us get hot and get cold throughout the night, and our covers on and covers off, and this will actually change the temperature of either the mattress pad or the mattress to suit whatever it is that your body needs. Other things that we can do to measure and track our sleep a little bit more, as long as we're talking about it, talked about this so many times, is the Oura Ring. And so that lets me know, am I accessing that deep sleep? Am I getting into REM sleep? How many times am I waking up through the night? And if I'm trying to do all these different things before I'm going to bed, I can see what's working and what isn't working, which is fantastic. So, Haley, anything else for the body side of things before we jump into the mind side of things? Because I feel like that's a bigger topic.
I agree. I think we're good with body noise. I think we should move on.
Okay, so for those of you, again, that are struggling with body noise, you can rewind this, you can reach out to us with questions, but we also have a video talking about inflammation. So I think that's enough. Maybe one more, Epsom salt baths. Make sure you take an Epsom salt bath before you go to bed too. I think that's fantastic. And people say that they sleep better with socks on. My wife makes so much fun of me whenever I try to do that, but I love sleeping with socks on. It's amazing.
Yes, that's very true. I know that in your head, it kind of feels funny to think about. You're like, oh, I'm going to get so hot, but it actually helps to regulate your body temperature, which is just crazy, but super cool.
Love it. Very, very cool. Other things, maybe we should do one more with essential oils. Essential oils, things like vetiver, chamomile, lavender, those 3 essential oils are fantastic. And so you can diffuse them, you can put them directly on you, spray them on your pillow, whatever it takes. But those things have a very physically and emotionally calming aspect to them. So let's jump into mind noise. So this one is big in our house. My wife has a really hard time shutting her brain off. And whether that's anxiety, whether that's fear, whether that's tracing your steps throughout the day, whether it's thinking about the next day, right? That's a big one. So Haley, what are some things that you like to do to calm that chatterbox, as we like to call it?
Yes, for sure. So a lot of the same things that we talked about with body noise, for me personally, I think the number one most important thing is having a routine. So whatever that routine might be that helps you calm down, whether that's listening to calming music, whether that's, again, journaling or doing a prayer journal or meditation, or things like that, where you can start to really just offload some of those thoughts that you just can't stop. And again, with the being able to set your circadian rhythm is super important. So like we talked about already, being able to watch the sunset if you can, and then keeping your lights dim so that your body's ready and prepared to go to bed. The same thing in the morning. And if you're not someone that can wake up super early, just making sure that you get light in your room is important as well first thing in the morning. But going back to being calm at night, a lot of the similar things.
Yeah. So, caffeine intake is a big one, right?
Yes.
We talked about those digital devices, and we talked about making sure that our body really gets out of that fight or flight state and looking at all the things that could potentially stimulate us in that regard. Having a healthy gut is super, super important as well. The majority of the neurotransmitters that function in our brain for helping us get to sleep, helping us stay asleep, helping us wake up and feel well rested the next day are actually made in the gut. So if we've got an unhealthy gut, it can also mean that we've got an unhealthy brain. So can I jump through a couple things that I've found that really help people close that, that chatterbox? So there's a lot of brands out there that make it. This is one of my favorite. It's a brand called Neuroscience, and it's called Gabatrex. And really all that it is chewable L-theanine. L-theanine is famous for going into the brain, and there's a excitatory neurotransmitter called glutamate. And what L-theanine does is it just swallows up all of that glutamate, that excitatory neurotransmitter, and it just calms those racing thoughts. There's capsule versions, there's powder versions. I really like the chewable version because some of it will get into your bloodstream while you're chewing on it and have a faster immediate action. So we've recommended to patients, this doesn't make you drowsy, this doesn't make you fall asleep, it just calms those racing thoughts. So if you're headed into a big meeting, or you're trying to get your kids out the door and your mind isn't maybe present and thinking about a million other things, L-theanine works fantastic. And so dosing is all over the board. I'll let you talk to your doc about that, but that's one of our favorites. Other things to help, of course, is another, I'm so bad with the camera stuff, liposomal Zen. And this is pretty cool. This has L-theanine in it as well, but it also has GABA. And one of our family members actually uses this, puts it by his nightside table. He does not use it every night, but he does wake up sometimes. It's grandpa. There's our spoiler alert. It's grandpa. So grandpa will put it on his nightside table, and that liposomal action, actually, you hold it underneath the tongue and gets into the bloodstream. And so for those nights that he wakes up at that 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, he wants to go back to bed, but can't shut that brain off, that works fantastic. So other things that we can do are melatonin. We did briefly touch on that. So I'm going to show you my 2 favorites. Here's a melatonin spray by Da Vinci. This is a liposomal. The taste is okay, but this will soak into the bloodstream very quickly. Every now and then we'll give that to our kids, maybe 30 minutes before bed. Melatonin is, again, very good at helping us get to sleep. It's not that great at helping us stay asleep, but great idea by this company, Zymogen. They make a controlled release melatonin. So you don't get all of that at once. You get that kind of pulse throughout the night. So again, helping us get to sleep and helping us stay asleep. And then Haley, I'm sorry, I've got one more recommendation. I think we could do this all day, but by that same brand, Zymogen, they make an OptiMag Neuro. Magnesium, again, is very famous for having that calming effect physically and mentally. That specific magnesium has been shown to cross the blood-brain barrier. So if the mind noise is the bigger thing for you, that's probably the better blend to help calm your neurologic tissue. Again, I think it needs to be said that it's not something that makes you feel tired or drowsy. It just helps calm you down. So we do have people that use that before they go to school, or again, that big meeting, whatever. So Haley, again, these videos, I feel like we're throwing so much out there. I know that we're not done yet, but what else do we need to talk about based off of our notes here?
Yeah, so you mentioned just a second ago that grandpa wakes up around 2 to 3 every night. Why does that happen?
So this is pretty cool. I was talking with an acupuncturist years ago, and she told me that the liver and the gallbladder are very active at those times. So again, if you're waking up at night, I would look at the clock. A lot of people say not to do that because it will drive you nuts, and I agree to an extent there, but it also can provide us some great information, right? And so if we're waking up at that time, somewhere in that window of 2 to 3, I think it's important for us to go back to look at those detoxification organs, right? Is it stress? Is it food? Is it leaky gut? Is it insufficiency with our ox bile, or I'm sorry, ox bile with our bile that we need to supplement with ox bile? We need to start looking at these things. Our body is amazing. It's going to tell us what's going on if we listen well enough. What else,
100%.
Haley?
Yeah, so that's super cool. I'm just gonna touch on that a little bit more as well. So it's really neat to kind of look back at some of the habits that may have happened to you and look at your sleep and kind of be able to be aware of what's happening. So I know a lot of people do wake up in the middle of the night, and it can be because of those things that Dr. Cade just mentioned. Another thing is making sure that you are eating, if you're hungry before bed, having some kind of snack. Otherwise, your body will wake up and say, like, where's the sustenance? I'm hungry. Like, what's going on? So having something that's high in protein a little bit before bed, if you're feeling hungry, can really help prevent you from waking up as well.
I think that's huge, Haley. Most of Americans aren't eating, they're eating food and they're getting a caloric intake, but they're not getting a real good nutrient rich diet in. And so, all of us I don't meet too many people whose diet is perfect, right? And so having that high protein, snack before you go to bed can actually help you sleep better, which is pretty wild. So my favorite example is I usually like to do a little bit of a protein shake or a protein smoothie before I go to bed. The brand that we love is SFH. They make some really great blends that are from healthy cows, but we'll throw that in with a little bit of organic berries and mix that up. And it's so tasty. It's like that ice cream cold treat before you go to bed, but you know that the glycemic intake is very, very low, and that protein, the quality of that protein's high. So that's one of my
100%.
favorites. Do you have a favorite that you like to do?
It changes for me. I am more of a smoothie person too because I tend to get some kind of a sweet tooth. So having those berries and making sure that you're incorporating protein in there is super important.
Awesome. I love it. All right. So just in closing, maybe we can throw a couple more resources out there. If you are really struggling with your sleep, you can do cortisol mapping so that you can see what your stress levels are at different points and different times during the day. We want to make sure that we're in the right curve through that. Otherwise, again, it's going to be very hard for our body, not only to rest and fall asleep, but also to wake up the next day and feel like we have enough energy and gusto to make it through the day. So cortisol mapping, I think, is awesome. And one of the providers that does that is Dutch. Another one resource that I'm going to encourage people to look into is Dr. Michael Bruce. His last name is spelled Brues, I believe. He is the sleep doctor, and his website, which we'll link below, is fantastic. He's got a lot of different sleep courses and classes. He promotes a lot of the same stuff that we're talking about, from the different glasses to different products to help you stay asleep and fall asleep, mattresses. And again, I love this guy because of how much information he gives, but he also has a really cool book out there that talks about our, if you will, our sleep animal. And I forget all of the details, but he talks about, again, if you like staying up late and waking up early or sleeping in, there's different animals that we can kind of connect with. And it's not that those things are bad. We don't all have to fit into a box, but there's certain things that we can do to promote our own natural habits to make sure that we're maximizing our sleep. And then again, we're awake. So Dr. Michael Bruce, thesleepdoctor.com is awesome. And I'm going to throw it right back to you again, Haley. Is there anything else that we want to talk to and share with these folks about sleep before we end it for today?
I think we covered everything. As always, I'll link to everything below in the description. If I miss anything, just comment or shoot us an email. If you have any questions, you can do the same as well. But yeah, I think we got it covered.
Where can people find more about Rooted Apothecary and what we stand for?
Yes, so definitely head over to rootedapoth.com. You can find all of our different products as well as all of our blog posts and our videos there. You can find us at YouTube, on YouTube as well at Rooted to Pop, and Instagram. All of our handles are going to be at Rooted to Pop on all social media platforms. Again, like I said, we have contact forms on the website if you want to reach us that way. You can also DM us on Instagram. You can message us on Facebook. You can comment on YouTube. We are everywhere.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. And then we also are going to have a downloadable guide on our website that we'll link
Yes.
to here, correct? Okay,
Yes.
good. All right. Well, thank you as always, Haley. I thought that was
Yes,
fun
thank you
today.
so
Sleep
much.
is so stinking important. And I think now that we've got the sleep one done, I think the next one that we're going to talk about is wellness. So we'll touch very briefly on sleep, but we're going to jump into food again. We're going to talk about exercise. We're going to talk about stress management and just do kind of an all-encompassing version on wellness. So thank you all for being a part of our family. We love you. Thank you for your support. We look forward to hearing back from you. But for now, my name is Dr. Cade. Haley, thank you for joining me. We'll see everybody soon.